This is my quick overview of my HP Omen. It is the base model that was on sale for $8.99 during Black Friday. I made some upgrades to it that I'll go over with you. Just want to give you a quick overview of what I've done. That's the price where it is right now. It did go up a bit, but it's still a solid pre-built gaming PC. A little bit about myself. I used to game a lot in my 20s. I haven't really gamed, and this is something that I got as I recently took at a work-from-home job. So I have a second monitor where I actually hooked that up to a laptop that I have underneath down here that I have docked, and I have this monitor hooked up to two machines, to my gaming machine, and I have this also hooked up to my work machine. It's a curved screen, 1080p, 60 hertz. I really should have done my homework and gotten myself something with more refresh rate, but hey, that's okay. But let's talk about this. So this comes with an i7 Intel core. It's the regular base. I believe it's the 8700. It is not a K model, so that means for Intel you cannot overclock this. It's not overclockable at all. You just can't do it. But it's still a good enough processor. It's a 6-core processor. There's really nothing that you need to do with this. I'm a casual gamer at best. Essentially, I only really game at nighttime since I work during the daytime. But now that I have this set up, it just makes me want to game a little bit more at night. But I did make a few upgrades. The fan back here that you can see, it is pretty small. You can't install it. I think it's a 120 millimeter fan, and I'm a little rusty on my parts. Again, it's been many years since I've spoke computers and upgraded anything. But what I did do is I updated the cooler. You can see here I have a Corsair. I bought this also I think on Black Friday sale. It's a 128 millimeter on top and not on the back. You cannot use a standard fan. These are pretty small fans. I took the radiator, the CPU radiator off, and I installed that. That's pretty cool. It has 16 gigs of RAM, which is actually good enough. 16 gigs is more than enough for simple gaming. And what I loved what they did is it's just one stick of 16 gig RAM, meaning you can easily just add another stick and upgrade this. You can go up to 32 if you just get another 16 gigs of RAM. So I like that. So my radiator on top, that's cooling it pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and take this apart in a bit and show you. GPU. This is basically the Achilles heel of this gaming laptop, or I'm sorry, gaming PC. It came with this, what was it, a GTX 1060, and it was a single fan, small model. It was a little underpowered. It can definitely play games out the box. It is a good gaming PC, but what I wanted was something that could run GTA 5 and a couple other games to the max. It was unfortunately able to do that with that processor. I was able to overclock it and get it to run, but it just wasn't smooth enough. So what I did is I actually bought this on Craigslist. This is a 1070 hybrid, so it is also water cooled. This is an all-in-one water cooler, just like the Corsair all-in-one water cooler. By the way, it's very similar. This radiator is at the bottom. Just because this case is small, it is a pretty small case. It's not a full-size case. So my radiator has no other place to fit other than on the bottom, and I'll show you that in a bit when I take it apart. Ideally, you want these radiators, especially for a GPU, on top or above it, but it's just that's what I was left with, considering I got it at a pretty low price on Craigslist, so it works fine. It still has about 2 years of warranty left on it. It idles somewhere around 27, 25 Celsius, so it's pretty good. And the other thing I upgraded you can't really tell, but I'll open it, is the hard drive. It came with a 1 terabyte hard drive. I removed that, and I installed a 1 terabyte SSD. So it came with a regular hard drive at 7200 RPM. I made sure to upgrade that. Here, that's the 256 gigabyte hard drive. That's good enough. I left that as is. That's where the OS is installed. But all my games is next to it, which is that SSD. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at that in a little bit. So I'm gonna take this apart. It's very upgradable. The tempered glass is not held together by any screws. It's just a little button back here that you just pull apart, and it comes right off. I like that it has 3 USB 3.0 ports everywhere. The 2 in front. And it has a headphone and mic power button. In the back, it has several, and I'll go ahead and show that to you guys in a bit. So here's the case. I'm gonna try my best to try to do this one-handed. I am not a professional YouTuber. I don't have the, I don't have a tripod or anything like that. So this is just me on my cell phone recording what my PC is. So this is how you take it off. There's a little button back here. Just depress that, and it comes right off. Ooh, look at that! I did that one-handed. Just put that away. All right, that's how easy it is. Bam, you're in the computer, just like that. So it is easily upgradable, really, really easy. Let me see if I can get my my light on. Actually, no, I have a separate light I can use. It's all right. Let's take a look at this. So here's the first upgrade I did. This is the CPU. I upgraded the to an all-in-one cooler. What I like about this is there's a bracket back here that can hold it. So the bracket, there's actually a screw. Let's see. There's a screw right here, and back there there's one more screw. I can't really get my camera, but you get a little screwdriver, you can get in there, and the bracket just comes right off. It's just 2 screws that hold it in. So the radiator is screwed into the bracket. There's 4 screws that hold the radiator to the actual bracket itself. But if you wanted to just add the fan, let's just say there was no radiator and you just wanted to add a fan of this size, it would screw perfectly right into that bracket, and there you go. And it does have an extra connector for a fan. So if you had a separate fan, so this is a stock GPU fan. Here is a separate connector, so this is what you can add your second fan to, but in my case I have the radiator hooked up to that. Now if you do go all-in-one cooler, the downside, now I'm boasting of how easy it is to upgrade. This is the one thing that's extremely hard to do, because you have to remove the entire motherboard. A full-size case typically has access on the back of it, so if I were to flip this over back here, a regular case, you can pop this out like a full-size case and you can have access to the other side of it. You cannot do that here, or at least I have not been able to figure it out myself. So what I've done here is, in order to gain access to this, the bracket, the stock bracket, needs to come out. So I had to remove everything, or not almost everything, just had to really remove the GPU and then just connect all the wires. There's several screws that you can tell, and you can just pull it out with a screwdriver. It actually wasn't that hard, considering I haven't touched the inside of a PC in over a decade. There's a bunch of YouTube videos that show you how to do this. It wasn't that hard. I would just say, for the novice, definitely want to look at some YouTube videos before you do that. But I took the whole motherboard out. There's a little bracket underneath that. Unscrewed the bracket, came right out easily. Put the new bracket that came with the all-in-one cooler in, popped it back in there, and it worked just fine. That was it. The hardest thing for me to upgrade was this, and it wasn't really that hard at all. Back here, I have the SSD. The space is way too big for it. This can pop right out. Pop right back in. Over here, this bay, there was another one, another little plastic bracket. I just took that out completely. Really no need for that. I did end up having to use the second power cable. So there is the cable management on this, by the way, is really good. But there was a separate cable just dangling back here to power a second hard drive. I ended up having to use that, which is fished over here, all the way around to power the pump for this all-in-one cooler. So that's the cool thing about this, is they've really thought about upgradability. They left several cables kind of like, you know, they leave the cable dangling like that, but it's still really well tucked in. I mean, the cable management on this is awesome, considering it's a pre-built. You know, it's powder coated inside, black. A lot of the cables are nice, well hidden back there. So kudos to HP for doing that. Now the GPU. The GPU itself was easy to pop out. It was much smaller. Probably came up to like right around here. It's a really small GPU. But you see this bracket over here? This bracket was just sitting in there. There's a little screw that comes out, and you can pop out this bracket. And what it does, it kind of holds in place the GPU, and that's a nice little touch. That your GPU isn't just left dangling. You know, with the screws over here on one side, it does have some support on two sides. So that was really nice. So if you do upgrade the GPU, it's very, very easy. Just take out two screws over here, pop it out. Obviously, there's a little lever back here. You want to make sure you do that first and pop it out. Obviously, if you get a big one, before you pop the new one in, you do need to take the screw out, take that little clip out, put the new GPU in, and this little thing goes right back in and supports it. In the stock version, the only thing that's powering it is a 6-pin. If you go upgrade it to a bigger GPU, it is an 8-pin. So you know, you just connect these two together and make it into an 8-pin and pop it right in there. That's pretty much how it works. So that's my third upgrade. First upgrade is this. Second upgrade is SSD. Third upgrade is the GPU. Radiator time. So this is the only modification I really had to do to this case. So it is a stock filter, an air filter kind of like tray in place at the bottom of this. I removed that, and this is where I put my radiator. My radiator is only held together by two screws. I can technically put two more screws to hold it in, but I felt that since, you know, it's at the bottom, it's gravity is really holding it in place. So this is just good enough. I drilled two holes with, you know, regular drill. I had some little drill bits that was just the right size that was able to make this hole a little bit wider. And I lined it up really good with the radiator and add two screws to that, and it holds it just in place very well. And then the fan, I flipped it over. So basically, my setup is it sucks in cold air from the bottom, goes up through the case, and then it's exhausted through here and back there. So it's cold air comes up, exhausted out. So it's a nice little setup. Power unit is 500. I know there was a couple people who says that 500 isn't good enough. You know what? I don't see any problem with 500. It's good enough, unless you're gonna add some crazy processor and overclock it and get some crazy GPU. 500 should be good enough. I don't know the brand, but the good thing is it is easily swappable. You know, just four screws back here holding it together. You can pop it right out. So I have no complaints about the actual power unit. For those who are interested in knowing, this is the 256 SSD that's on the motherboard. The two DIMMs, so you can add another DIMM of RAM over here, hidden way down here. That's the Wi-Fi. So be super careful if you're making any upgrades, that you don't mess around with those little wires that are sticking out. I did. I do use Wi-Fi, or I used it for a little bit. I actually ended up hard wiring an Ethernet cord down to my basement so I can get better connection. But be very careful if you do rely on Wi-Fi. And here's that back fan. I just find it's a little inadequate. I wish the case was a little bit wider, a little thicker, you know, so then that way you had some more space to play with. You want to add some radiators. But that's basically about it. You can add one radiator up here, or a fan, or a combination like I have right now. This is the only modification I did. I know that's not ideal, but hey, it works. It's a Craigslist GPU. I didn't spend too much money on it, so if it ends up frying, you know, it's all on me, because I know that it's not ideal, but so far so good. Hopefully this was helpful for anybody who was interested on this computer. I like this computer. I game on it, and if anybody wants to purchase it or already purchase it, it is good bone stock, but hopefully for those who are interested in upgrading, this was a nice little tutorial or video for you guys. All right, later.